The ocean is a vast, vibrant world, teeming with life and complexity, built up over thousands of years. It's home to delicate ecosystems that support countless species and regulate our planet's climate. But beneath the waves, out of sight, a devastating practice is silently tearing this world apart. Bottom trawling, an industrial fishing method involving massive nets dragged along the seafloor, is destroying habitats, wiping out marine life, and damaging the ocean's ability to sustain us all. Every day, huge swaths of the seabed, equivalent in size to major cities, are scraped clean, leaving behind barren wastelands. This isn't just fishing. It's bulldozing the foundation of life in the sea. In this video, we'll uncover the shocking reality of bottom trawling, revealing the scale of destruction, the hidden costs, and why it's one of the greatest threats facing our oceans today. Bottom trawling is simple in concept, but devastating in effect. Imagine a fishing net so vast it could swallow a dozen jumbo jets at once. This enormous net is held open by heavy steel doors, each weighing several tons, designed to drag relentlessly across the ocean floor. Attached to the net are chains or cables studded with metal, bobbins or rollers, which dig into the seabed, stirring up everything in their path. The fishing vessel pulls this massive apparatus for miles, sometimes for hours at a stretch, targeting species that live near or on the seafloor, such as cod, shrimp, and sole. But this method is indiscriminate. It scoops up nearly everything in its path, leaving nothing but destruction behind. The force of the gear crushes corals, crushes fragile sponges, and disrupts complex habitats that took centuries to develop. In essence, bottom trawling is like using a bulldozer to harvest a garden. It destroys far more than it catches, devastating entire ecosystems for a fraction of the yield. This brutal technique transforms once thriving underwater landscapes into flattened, lifeless zones almost instantly. Beneath the waves lie some of the oldest, most delicate ecosystems on Earth. Deep-sea coral gardens and sponge reefs that have thrived for thousands of years. These underwater formations are the rainforests of the ocean, providing shelter and nurseries for a vast array of marine life. Some deep-water black corals are over 4,000 years old, and glass sponge reefs predate the construction of the ancient pyramids. These natural structures create complex habitats where countless species live and reproduce, maintaining the ocean's biodiversity. When bottom trawling nets pass over these fragile environments, the impact is catastrophic and irreversible on a human timescale. For example, scientific studies have shown that coral coverage on heavily trawled underwater mountains or seamounts can drop by almost 99% after repeated passes. Off the coast of Florida, deep Oculina reefs were nearly obliterated due to trawling activity, leaving behind a barren underwater desert. Recent data from New Zealand between April 2024 and March 2025 revealed that bottom trawlers collected over 9 tons of protected coral. Centuries of slow growth shattered and discarded. Recovery of these ecosystems is agonizingly slow. Even a decade after fishing restrictions, many sites show little sign of revival. The damage we inflict today is a permanent scar on the ocean's ancient heritage. Beyond the destruction of habitats, bottom trawling causes a massive, often unseen tragedy: bycatch. This term refers to the countless marine creatures caught unintentionally in the giant nets, species that fishermen do not want and usually discard dead or dying. Because bottom trawlers drag heavy gear across the seafloor, they sweep up everything in their path. This includes juvenile fish that have not yet reproduced, countless invertebrates with no commercial value, and even vulnerable or endangered animals like sea turtles, dolphins, sharks, seals, and seabirds. The scale of this collateral damage is staggering. In some shrimp fisheries, for every 1 kilogram of shrimp caught, as much as 10 kilograms of other marine life is captured and discarded. Globally, bycatch can make up as much as 90% of the total catch in certain trawl fisheries. To put it in perspective, millions of marine mammals and seabirds perish annually in fishing gear worldwide. For instance, from 2000 to 2020, bottom trawling caused the deaths of over 170,000 sea turtles in the Mediterranean alone. On the boats, valuable species are kept, but the rest, broken coral, crushed crabs, suffocating turtles, are thrown back into the sea, usually dead or dying. This widespread waste isn't just a conservation concern, it disrupts the entire ocean food web, undermining the long-term health of fish stocks and marine ecosystems. Bottom trawling's damage doesn't stop at marine life and habitats, it extends deep into the climate crisis. The seafloor holds vast amounts of carbon locked away in sediments that have built up over thousands of years. When heavy trawl nets churn the ocean bottom, they disturb these sediments, releasing stored carbon back into the water and eventually the atmosphere. Scientific studies estimate that bottom trawling releases nearly the same amount of carbon dioxide annually as all the world's aviation combined. This means that a fishing method meant to feed us is secretly adding significantly to global warming. Moreover, the carbon release contributes to ocean acidification, making seawater more hostile to species that build shells and skeletons such as corals and shellfish. So, research from April 2025 confirmed that this acidification impairs marine life's ability to thrive, further weakening ocean ecosystems already battered by physical destruction. In effect, bottom trawling not only harms biodiversity but also accelerates climate change, turning the ocean from a carbon sink into a carbon source. This dual impact makes the practice a serious environmental threat on a planetary scale. Despite its catastrophic impacts, bottom trawling continues largely unchecked due to a complex web of political, economic, and regulatory failures. A major factor is government subsidies that artificially prop up industrial fishing fleets. These financial supports pay for fuel, vessels, and equipment, allowing trawlers to operate at a loss, yet keep fishing aggressively. This creates a perverse incentive to maintain destructive practices rather than transition to sustainable methods. On the regulatory front, enforcement is often weak or inconsistent. Many marine protected areas, regions set aside to conserve biodiversity, still allow bottom trawling. For example, in the United Kingdom, about 90% of these protected zones have seen extensive trawling activity, including over 20,000 hours just in the year 2024. This is akin to designating national parks on land, then permitting bulldozers to run wild inside them. Lobbying by powerful fishing industries also hinders stricter regulations, prioritizing short-term profits over long-term ocean health. Economic analyses reveal that the social costs, including carbon emissions and ecosystem damage, outweigh the financial gains from trawling by billions of euros annually in Europe alone. This imbalance shows a system that favors destruction where public money sustains private environmental harm, underscoring the urgent need for reform. Despite the bleak picture, there is growing momentum worldwide to curb bottom trawling and protect our oceans. Several countries have already taken decisive steps to ban or restrict this destructive practice. Venezuela led the way by banning bottom trawling within its waters in 2009. Following suit, Hong Kong implemented a ban in 2012, and the island nation of Palau has fully prohibited it. More recently, nations like Greece and Sweden have pledged to strengthen protections in their marine protected areas. Public pressure has also forced governments such as the United Kingdom and France to commit to banning bottom trawling in parts of their protected zones. Where these bans are strictly enforced, the results are encouraging. Marine life has been observed to increase by up to 95%, and fish populations begin a slow but steady recovery. These ecological improvements not only restore biodiversity, but also support local small-scale fishers who rely on more sustainable fishing methods. Environmental organizations such as Oceana, the Blue Marine Foundation, and the Transform Bottom Trawling Coalition are key players in pushing for policy changes, conducting research, and holding governments accountable. This collective effort shows that while the damage has been severe, recovery is possible with the right commitment and action. Now that you understand the scale and urgency of bottom trawling's destruction, it's time to think about what you can do. The biggest challenge is that much of this damage happens far from our eyes, deep beneath the waves. That's why raising awareness is critical. Sharing this information with your friends and family is a powerful first step. Public pressure can push governments and industries to change. Contact your elected representatives and ask them where they stand on banning bottom trawling, especially in protected marine areas. Support organizations fighting to end this practice. Many rely on donations and volunteers to keep up their work. Choose seafood from sustainable sources that do not use destructive fishing methods. By making conscious choices and demanding accountability, you help protect the ocean's future. The choice before us is clear. Continue allowing the bulldozing of the ocean floor, or stand together to restore the vibrant, thriving ecosystems that sustain life on Earth. The time to act is now.